Hi, good morning. We're here with Catherine Norrie from Andrew's Car and Van Hire in Beverley. How you doing, Catherine?
I'm well, thank you, very well on this lovely rainy day, but I'm tucked up warm.
Yeah, it's pretty wet out there, isn't it? The
Yeah,
storm's
yeah,
coming, I think. Thank you very much for joining us today. So, if you could start us off and give us a bit of an introduction as to who you are and what it is that you do and how long you've been doing it for, please.
yeah. Like I say, I'm Catherine. I've got a car and van hire, self-drive hire company. I've owned the company for just over 6 years now, but been involved in it for about 11.
Okay.
Um, for my madness, my sins, I did it as a volunteer to start with, and then was employed 2 years to be the manager 2 years before purchasing the company, and then bought the company out in 2017. Um,
Fantastic.
so yeah.
So, what would you say in terms of your business in the sector that you operate in, that kind of hire sector, transport hire sector? What makes you stand out from the crowd?
Certainly in Beverley, we're the only one, which
Yeah.
is a big bonus. We're the only ones that offer cars locally as well. We open 7 days a week, which there's no other company in the area that offers 7 days a week. We tailor the hires literally. We offer a personal service to our customers. We're not, obviously being independent, we're not one of the big companies that I mean, we still have to abide by the rules and regulations, but we can offer
Yeah.
a lot more personal service and tailored service. Customer's going to be late, we'll maybe stay back and take that vehicle in, come in slightly earlier in the morning if that's what's
Yeah.
needed. Not every time, but whereas the other companies won't, we'll do that to make sure it's a personal service.
Sure.
But yes, 7 days a week in, again, madness, but it works.
It's
It
keeping you
works.
busy, I
It
guess.
does. It does. Yeah, very.
So, what in terms of that journey then, since you've purchased the company, how would you describe that?
From the outset, obviously I knew the company and I knew how it ran because I'd been running it for quite a while before I owned it. Um, for me, it was learning to walk before I could run, and wasn't getting excuse me, over ambitious with it. So instead of I bought what potentially would have been a failing company,
Mhm.
um, turned it around, but I didn't do it all at once. It wasn't a case of, right, I've got it now, I'm going to take nice big wages out of it, I'm my own boss. It was a slow, steady progression.
Mhm.
Obviously, 2000, we'd had a few hiccups to start with, which threw us back on my plan for about 18. It threw me back about 18 months. So instead of
Wow.
being 18 months to 2 years before I expanded, it then
Mhm.
became 3 to 4 years before we could think about expanding. We'd lost one of our biggest, most expensive vehicles. So
Mhm.
it was learning to walk before we could run,
Sure.
basically. I know it's the cliche saying, but it really is. And knowing where the demand was as well.
Mhm.
So for new vehicles and things like that. So basically, it was slow and steady rather than
Yeah.
jumping in. But like I say, I was very fortunate because I'd been doing the job for the previous owner, who was a friend of mine. So yeah, slow, steady. Have your ideas, but don't try and do them all at once.
Makes a lot of sense,
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to understand, yeah, the transition between uh, what the business can, I suppose, withstand at
yeah.
the point of transition where you took over it, and then understanding how you can grow it. So, what does the future look like from this point? And what do you see as the main challenges going ahead, if you can predict
Well,
them?
we've or I say we because it's the company.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, since I would say since COVID, we'll go from COVID because we had a big dip in COVID, obviously.
sure.
Um, After COVID, we started having our most successful years, and that's when we started really expanding. I've more than doubled the size of the company in two
Wow,
years, last 2 years. Um,
congratulations.
so it's, yeah, but you have to. That's why I say what you had to do was see the market first, because obviously you can go and get all these vans and they're all stood idle, and you're paying all the overheads on them because
Yeah,
there's no money coming in. So I sort of the future looks good. We're probably about maximum we can be for the company and the demographic area we are, and also for the staff that I have as well. It's only me and another person a couple of days a week. So you also have, I think for me, you had to gauge the demographic area so that we didn't get too big, because it's not manageable either, because we do everything on site. So we prepare the vehicles, we hire the vehicles, we take all the calls. So basically it was about knowing that the market as well, the market that we're aiming at.
Okay.
So the future looks okay. It looks okay.
Good stuff. So in all that experience that you've had to date, being a business owner so far, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned to date, if there's one you can pick out?
Yeah, the biggest one was planning for the quieter times, because don't get complacent when you're really busy. And I think that would apply for any company, that plan for your quiet times as well, because we will go through January, February, where we get very quiet with our vans, and you think, oh no, this is disastrous. But don't get complacent when the money's coming in, but don't also get despondent when you got to know that. So it was learning for me. It was learning when the peaks and troughs were going to be, and not get ahead of yourself. Another one was, don't take big salaries when there's no need, because you know, on a new company, I started off at scratch. For me personally, the other big learning curve was don't borrow money. I decided, and I know a lot of companies run on overdrafts. We've never done anything like that. Knowing your limits as well. You must know your limits. I think that's really, really important. So know personal limits as well. Know when to get help, know when not to, know when to say, but out, you don't, I know it better than you. So basically, plan for the quiet periods, and don't get complacent and over-egoed in the good times. So
some great lessons shared there. But yeah, it sounds like you put it on a very stable footing in terms of your business principles that you're working to and running it on. So if I'm following on from that, in terms of a piece of advice for someone just starting out in business, would that advice reflect what you've said? Is there anything else you want to expand on?
Yeah, I would say make sure you do get a work-life balance. I didn't have a work-life balance, and it was all consuming. And I think sometimes at the beginning of you running a business, it does take over, and it's having that work-life balance. The other thing I do, don't overstretch yourself financially. If I think you have to speculate to accumulate, but don't overstretch that you can't. So, for example, if we get the quiet times, you can't afford the overheads that you've got, because that straight away puts you backwards. For me, it's just knowing what your limitations are, being ambitious but not over ambitious. But yeah, definitely work-life and private life balance, because it can be all consuming. The other thing I do is, this is just me personally, I do everything by the book. So for me, I go home, because I'm involved in vehicles where people are taking them, insurance. I sleep at night because I do it by the book. So that to me is really important. Yeah, and I have to. That's just me, my personal nature. I have to do it right, and then at least at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, I can say we can deal with that, but it wasn't something I've done.
Yes.
It was a hiccup in the. If there's an accident, my customers are insured, and I've done it by the book. And we tend not to deviate at all, because people in the nature of this business, people will want to, I don't quite have the right documents, I don't quite have this, and we're like, that's the deal. And reinforcing information as well. So just and we learn every day. I always think, if I've not learned something that week, I've not done it quite right. So I do learn something every week. In dealing with customers, you do learn a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like you've got a great attitude towards it. In terms of your reflections on having a work-life balance, how have you managed that, or what have you done to help create a good work-life balance for you?
I used to be 7 days a week, every week. When I first started, I had what I would term without being patronised, a Saturday girl. She used to come in on a Saturday. She was she was just 16, so she could never be left. So I had to do 7 days a week. Once she turned 18, I then could take time off. And she was absolutely amazing. But now I've actually employed somebody 2 days a week, or day and a half a week. I still come in 6 days a week, but I actually physically don't have to get up 2 mornings a week. So that's quite nice. Yeah, and I take time off now. I only take 2 weeks in the year off, but I take time off and I go away from the business, which is really important as well. So for me, that was the biggest thing. And I've got a grandson now, so my day off is spent looking after him. But it's,
that's not a day off, or is it a day off?
No, not quite a day off, but it really is. It really is vital that you don't throw yourself into the business working and then exclude everything else. Certainly, your children will certainly tell you about it if you do.
Definitely, yeah. You can't. The only thing you can't get back is time. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Thank you for that share. In terms of inspiration, then, like why you do what you do? Is there any books or anything that you read, anything that you watch, or what's the kind of passion for you?
That's a tricky one for me because I haven't really read anything. I have a lot of help and inspiration from certain people that are connected with it. So, for example, the previous owner is a friend, still is a friend. I think owning my own company was really important to me because I can be a little bit antisocial sometimes. So working on my own is quite nice. I quite like that. I think tending to want to be a success at something and saying at the end of the day when I go home and I think, actually, I have achieved that, because there was a very briefly, there was a time recently where I had to find new premises. We'd outgrown the premises, and finding premises for the amount of vehicles I've got and an office space was a logistical nightmare. And I'd actually resigned myself to the fact that potentially I would have to sell the company because it couldn't carry on. And at that point, the age I was, it was like, what do I do? And it was resigning myself to the fact that I'd now achieved that I could have retired, and I could have retired quite comfortably because of from starting off on zero, I could have retired quite comfortably. And that to me, it was sort of I know it sounds silly, but self-inspirational. So I'm thinking, actually, knowing what I've achieved in the last few years, I've still got a long way to go. But people around me, I have people like the insurance company, the brokers and things like that. They're absolutely invaluable for advice. And then you think, actually, so a lot of it is people that are in the knowledge, so in the business. I did enough reading when I did my degree a few years ago. So.
It doesn't have to be anything that you read. It's watch people, or just, as you say, something within you that you want to do something for yourself and be proud of that. Which, listening to you, it sounds like you, in terms of being able to, look at that opportunity to potentially retire and be like, blimey, I mean, in the space of what, that's like 6 years.
Yeah, I'd gone from nothing, and I literally. Long story short, a divorce, and I'd literally got nothing. Bought the house. I did a degree. I graduated from my degree in 2016. I did a full-time degree, worked 3 jobs. This one was included, but I wasn't actually employed at that time. It was voluntary. So for me, I'd started off with absolutely nothing, and it meant that I was secure for the rest of my life, basically. And that's really important to me, that that you've got that roof over your head, you've got, the stability. For my children, I know that's the inheritance they're after, but it's, so it's a lot of it is self-motivating as well. And if you don't want it badly enough, you won't. And you do have to make sacrifices. You do have to. You have to be self-motivated, basically. If you're not self-motivated, I think you won't achieve what you set out to achieve, and to the point of obsession. And And I'm getting there. I'm getting
No,
there.
it's a great story, and thank you very much for sharing those aspects to it, because yeah, it's important for other people to understand that, you know, what can be achieved, and to help
Yeah.
spur other people on as well. So well done for getting there and getting to that point. So lastly, in terms of any latest news around what you're up to, or even simply sharing your website so we can find out a bit more about what you're doing and can inquire if we'd like to, feel free to share that.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Andrew's Caravan Hire. That's one of our biggest ones. We've also got our website. If you put in Andrew's Caravan Hire, it will take you to just us. We also have the name CanHire Limited, which is our trading name, so you can find us on that by the phone call. We've moved premises, like I say, so if anybody goes to the old place and they hear of us, we do have signage on there, but we're at our new premises on Riverview Road, and it's, yeah, look us up and
Fantastic.
find us. Yeah, and just even if people want to just come in, see what vehicles we've got, again, the difference is we'll offer you a coffee and you know,
Personal
service. Yeah, absolutely. So
excellent.
yeah, and just view everything as to me, just one more point is just view everything as a learning curve. Never think that you know it all.
Very
just
good.
plan, prepare, and just accept that you're learning every day.
Yeah, definitely. Wise words from you there, Catherine. Thank you very much for that. It's been really good talking with you. Thank you for being so open and sharing everything that you have, and I wish you all the best for the future of the business.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.